SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Ladies and gentlemen, put it on a poster because it doesn't happen often. Steve Dangle was right. Woo! The Oilers won a game.
Is that what I called?
Did you say that?
I'm pretty sure you said they're going to win game 5. They're pushing
okay.
game 5.
I don't remember that.
I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with I didn't because
You didn't believe it.
It was surprising to me when you said it.
No, your memory should not be the arbiter here. Your memory is not great. Come on. It's like mine.
we didn't make predictions, did we?
Well, we said are we going to be, because Jesse, you said on Friday, you were talking about, okay, is it time to do the what do they call it? The eulogy on the Oilers season.
Yeah.
And then I think that's what prompted the conversation. Do you think we'll be talking about the Monday? I actually didn't. I thought they were toast on Saturday night. I think Steve was the one that said, no, I think they're going to win one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I said Oilers in 7. So now I'm back to that.
Sportsnet's really good. Their stats department. Shout out Mr. Felon over there, who's been there a long time running their stats department. But they're very good at finding the stats that kind of mean something. And they had the one up on the screen about how when the Colorado Avalanche had a chance to close it out, they didn't do it. When the Tampa Bay Lightning 2 times in a row had a chance to close it out, they didn't. And then the St. Louis Blues as well. So in 19, in 20, in 21, and in 22, Vegas did it last year. They did close out when they got their first opportunity. Yep. But those 4 consecutive years, so 4 out of the last 5 years, when the team who has a chance to close out the Stanley Cup final in their first opportunity, they lose.
Right.
It makes a lot of sense. There's more pressure there. Florida flew in, 150 family members to Edmonton to be at that game just in case.
Just to watch them get crushed.
Just in case we got to all go down on the ice and lift the Stanley Cup and take all those photos. So you understand that they lost that first one. My belief in Florida closing out one of these next 3 games, I'm not wavering from that.
Yeah, it's 4 games in a row. Unlikely. It's possible. It's possible.
Anything's possible.
I mean, they're goal differential. They're tied. Isn't that nuts? That's friggin' insane.
Yeah, 12. You don't count total goals.
Yeah, you do.
Though.
No,
aggregate goals.
You do. No, a couple things there.
Soccer.
Florida has had 3 opportunities to sweep over the last 2 years. Or rather 4 opportunities to sweep, and they failed to sweep 3 of the 4. They swept Carolina. They weren't able to sweep the Leafs. They lost game 4. They weren't able to sweep the
losers.
Lightning. Yeah,
Boo,
they lost game 4, and now they weren't able to sweep the Oilers. They lost game 4.
What are the chances that the Oilers come back from a 3-0? Let me run through what Sportsnet pulled together.
Next to none.
Well, next to none. Kellen Forrest had a really good article. The Maple Leafs won 4 in a row after losing 3 consecutive games to the Red Wings in 1942. We all know this. Mm-hmm. Did you know that Toronto outscored Detroit 15-4 in the final 3 games of that series?
No.
15-4. Including the 42 Leafs, only 4 teams have ever erased a 3-0 deficit to come out on top. The 75 New York Islanders, the 2010 Flyers, and the 2014 LA Kings. The Kings did it in round 1 of the 2014 postseason, where they managed to pull off 4 straight wins to beat the San Jose Sharks, and they rode that all the way to the Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned the coming back from 3-0 stats on Friday, and I didn't mention the Islanders in it, so my apologies to all Islanders fans.
But I have baseball and basketball, too. I just thought that might be interesting.
Yeah. Never in basketball.
Never in basketball.
You don't have any basketball.
Except for the Mavericks are hoping to pull it off.
Yeah, no.
Oh, so there's an asterisk on that. You never know, man.
You never know. In Major League Baseball, only the 2004 Boston Red Sox have accomplished this task, beating the Yankees in the 2004 ACLS.
You came so close to Rangers?
ALCS.
You came so close to Rangers.
Yeah, almost did it. So here's the deal. Should the Oilers hire Shania for games 5, 6, and 7?
Yes.
Unironically. I think she has to be a part of the good vibes.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
You don't think?
No, Shania's fantastic. I got no problem with Shania.
It is.
On the night Shania plays, Connor McDavid passes Gretzky for most assists all time in the playoffs. Well, I feel like the two are obviously connected.
And Adam, I'm surprised you haven't brought up the photo yet.
The photo?
Well, there's a photo of Shania with Connor McDavid after the game. And the reason it's significant isn't because it's 2 members of Canadian royalty. Shania and record-breaking Connor McDavid. Adam, if you look at his socks, they're not entirely intact. And I think Connor McDavid is sending us signals that he's a member of Gripper Nation.
Is he wearing the same socks every game and then just wearing them out? Is that happening?
No, like both. They're disgusting. And I assume there's a reason for it on account of he's the best skater in the world.
It would probably be superstition alone. A lot of those guys skate without socks at all.
Well, Sidney Crosby had the same disgusting salt-stained baseball cap for like 12 years. And it's like, Sid, you're a millionaire. Like, get a hat.
Like the Sid will give you a hat, dude.
We'll get you a team-issued hat.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even got to pay for it. No. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
You get to say whatever you want on it. Like, we'll get it screen printed for you, everything. We'll pay for it.
One of the biggest misses financially for the Pittsburgh Penguins ever is not giving away, like having a Sidney Crosby hat night and just having regular Penguins hats with like a fake disgusting salt line.
That's
like Sid has.
That's a good point.
Why did they never do that?
Well,
all right. Here's Shania Twain and Connor McDavid.
Mm-hmm.
And a man.
And
I don't know who that is.
For everybody listening, sorry you can't see the feet reveal with us, but I'm going to scroll.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, very gently.
For free?
Are
we doing this for free?
Very gently.
Oh, man.
Connor McDavid's toes.
Oh. Ripper Nation, you get a little bit of toe action, but a little covered too, so it's a little mysterious.
Yeah,
you know,
a little. How'd that get in there?
Little skin.
Where are you poking up from?
Does he have? Those are his toes, right? It's not the lighting. The photos
they do look like his toes. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Zoom in.
The photos like terrible lighting. I don't know how it turned out like this. Like it looks like it's taken with like a Nokia in 2008.
It looks like the Oilers locker room if it was on a movie set for a movie that was set outdoors.
Yeah, those are the weird toes sticking out.
That might be the closest to a smile I've seen Connor McDavid have in a photo. He smiles on the bench and stuff, and when he scores, but he never in a picture. He does. You know, there's some people who are like, I don't like my smile, so I scowl at the picture. You know, he's got that. But he's definitely smiling a little bit.
He's playing the Pete Holmes game.
His eyes
the littlest smile.
Yeah.
You ever heard about that? Your goal is to do the littlest smile, but it's hard because you want to laugh at each other. Like here, there's mine.
That's your littlest.
That's my littlest smile. You do one. Yeah. There you go, Jesse. You do one.
Littlest smile, Jack.
You do one. Come on, Jesse. It's a great game.
Jesse. I don't see a smile there.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
There's one. There's one.
I don't know if this is a great podcast.
I think it's great.
It's fantastic.
Especially for the listeners.
Listen.
Because they get to use their imagination.
How did the Oilers solve Bob? 6 goals, 15 shots. Ugly.
Yeah, that was holy shit.
Ugly.
That's
and really rare. Really, really rare.
Well, let's look at it. On the first one,
Janmark shorthanded from who? Connor Brown. That's right. His legs still work.
Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. It was a shorthanded opportunity for the Panthers. Brandon Montour takes out his own goalie so that he's not in the net. Janmark gets a wide open cage, shovels it wide of the net. This puck is not going in.
You don't think that puck's going in?
It is not going in.
Do we have
yeah, you want me to
pull the goal up? I want to know. I think it was going in.
This puck is not going in.
It was going in. It was going in.
Well, it went inner.
But a Panther could have blocked it. Barkov could have blocked it.
Could have. Instead, he put it into the net.
Do you think he was going to miss that?
Yeah, I do.
Because that, to me, if he misses that net, the Oilers would be like, we're okay. The fates are against us.
You know what's crazy? If you go back to the end of Game 3, the Oilers have actually scored 10 of the last 11 goals. And 2 of them have gone in off Panthers. There was one from Game 3, the Broberg one went off Mikkola and then Bobbin in. And then the very next goal they scored, I believe. Or no, 2 goals later because McLeod had one.
Jesse's having a closer look. Do you think he would have put this wide?
I gotta watch it. Saying 10 of the last 11 goals is a little skewed when it was 8-1.
Yeah. I don't care. Am I wrong, though? Did I lie, though?
I don't think the stat delivers the punch you think it does when the game was 8-1.
It feels applicable, Jesse. It feels applicable.
Here's the goal you guys wanted to see if it was going wide. They're coming up the wing here. This is the instance you say it's going wide?
2-on-1.
No, right here.
He friggin' starfishes Bob.
Okay, hold on. Is there a
Like-
closer replay of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this, and I feel like this was going in if Barkov
No.
had not been there.
Yeah, here.
No.
You don't think it would have? Steve, I don't think that's going wide.
It's going
Look,
wide.
that's the puck there, right?
Yeah.
Wide.
And then
Look how wide this goes. It's going wide.
no,
It's not going wide. It's going
It's
in.
not. I don't.
It's
I don't
going
know what
wide.
you're talking- I honestly don't know what you're referring to.
It's going wide.
No, I do want to say this, and a lot was made of this story. Matthias Janmark, when the Oilers were 5-12-1, which was a thing this year, after a 6-3 loss in Carolina, 30th overall, Janmark stepped a little outside of his comfort zone, this according to The Athletic, and addressed his teammates that night. In doing so, a new mindset was born. The kind needed for Edmonton to play its way out of that massive hole in the regular season, and the kind it needed to draw all of these months later, draw a win in the Stanley Cup final. And Zach Hyman says they call it the janitor way. And it's essentially what Janmark did was he stood up and he said, guys, we are not going to be able to outscore our problems every night. In fact, I don't think we can do it at all this year. So can we start playing some defense? And that is kind of what, I mean, obviously that coincides with Knobloch too. But they did pretty good after that. I think an 8-game winning streak and then a 16-game winning streak and another 8-game winning streak.
Yep.
Now, do they have it in them to do half of an 8-game winning streak?
Yes.
Before you answer that fully, Steve, I think you might be vindicated.
I know I'm vindicated.
No.
All right, Maddie, pull it up. We got the close angle
Okay, was
at
he
the
gonna
very end of the replay.
There's no way he was going to miss this.
Yes, he was. Look at so the puck's right here on the other side of the blade, right?
It's on his
going to the
backhand.
backhand. Hops up.
Look at that!
the direction it's going in.
It's going a mile wide.
It bounces off
Oh, wow.
of Barkov there, bounces that way into the back of the net. But if you see where it hits Ekblad, I think
Barkov.
Or sorry, Ekblad. Barkov. I think maybe it
No.
could have been going
No.
because the angle we're watching at isn't like straight
Yeah,
on.
it's
so you
not
can't
straight
really
on.
All right,
tell.
John Shannon. No,
But-
it's going wide.
Steve, you got a very good point.
I know I do. I usually do. Always do.
Stop it.
I don't remember what the second goal was. What was the second goal?
Because it was 2-1 at one point.
It was
Here.
2-0 first.
Mhm.
So Jesse's instead
I
of
can
watching
just
him.
literally just. It was the Henry tip in.
Yes. So this was, the Oilers, one thing they did extremely well in this game, and I hadn't seen them do it basically at all, was they stretched the ice crazy well. The up ice passes, the outlet passes were crazy. The accuracy of them were crazy. Yeah, Jesse's got it up right now. I'm watching it. Just speed kills. No, they overwhelmed the Panthers. The Panthers in game 1 and game 3, where they got outshot by a wide margin. I don't know how much they got outchanced by. They were able to survive. Like all their survival shifts didn't make the Oilers look all that dangerous. They were friggin' flying around. The Panthers looked very much like a distracted team. And the Oilers, it's two things. One team is completely fat and happy. Like they are in a position that no team has lost in since 1942. All their family and friends are there. They flew out 150 of them. The other team's fighting for their lives. They're fighting to keep their Stanley Cup dreams alive. They're fighting to not be humiliated. They're on home ice. Shania Twain's in the building. Like
And half the seats are Florida Panthers friends and family. I think honestly, that's an underrated big boy move to like just embarrass them in front of their friends and family. Like,
oh yeah, well,
that's great.
Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah.
No wonder the Oilers won. The Oilers won that game because I think a team in their position should win that game. And I will say this, like, I'm certainly not blaming the family and friends. It's about how you handle it. I would just, if I were in that position, which I will never be, I'd want to hear from them as little as possible. I'd want to forget they were there. You know what I mean? Until they won the cup, until it's on the ice, until the ceremony happens, I want to forget you exist. I don't want to be thinking about you up there. I don't want to be thinking about You know, do I got to make time for you here? Do I, you know, hook you up with this or hook you up with that? Whatever you need. 150 people. That's a lot of folks.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. I wouldn't want to hear from them.
No, of course not. Of course not. And so
it's like your wedding day. Like before the wedding, yeah, okay. On my wedding day, don't tell me anything that's wrong. That's the bride. I'm the groom. Don't tell us.
Yeah, just fix it.
Yeah, we have other stuff to do. Fix it or leave it. I don't give a shit. Don't tell me about it.
I thought Brady Tkachuk was very funny on the broadcast. He said something along the lines of, I'm only making one trip.
Yeah.
I'm not making the next one to Florida if they don't close it out here tonight. You can't expect me to go down there. But that was
really,
very
you know
funny.
you will.
Yeah, it was obviously a joke. So he's trying to will Matthew to get the cup that night.
Apparently the flights from Edmonton to Florida are a nightmare for commercial.
They're brutal.
I don't understand. I guess because we're on the East Coast, Florida trips are like $200 here. It's the same as Vegas or Arizona from Alberta, right?
Right.
Which is, you know, $200 flight back and forth.
You can get pretty cheap from here too. Vegas wants you to be.
Well, the Vegas, yes. But I'm saying that I guess that it's a lot of Eastern Canadians that go down to Florida. I want to say these names: Janmark, Henrique, Holloway, McLeod. Of the 8 goals Edmonton scored, 5 of them came from those names. Obviously, Janmark shorthanded, but kind of a big deal to get your depth involved.
Absolutely. Like we were talking about, we were talking a little reckless about the Oilers and everything. Heading into these playoffs, I was like, you know what? Their depth is better than it's been in recent years. They haven't performed that way. And like, look at all those guys that you just mentioned. Does it have the amount of goals they have next to them?
Yeah. So Holloway's got 5. McLeod has 3. Henrique has 3, and Janmark has 3.
Right? Like those guys have not been producing. They haven't been.
McDavid's only got 6.
Well, hilariously, McDavid's only got 6. I saw that. I was like, oh my God, that can't be right. And then you see he's breaking a record on the playmaking side. No, the depth, hasn't necessarily needed to get it done. I mean, they're in the Cup final, but here they are in the Oilers' time of need, and they're going to have to keep it up for another 3 games or they're dead.
Does Connor McDavid get 9 more points in this series and tie and 10 more points to break the all-time record for points in a single playoffs?
If it goes 7, yeah. Dude, he had 4. Connor
McDavid currently has 38 points these playoffs. He currently sits 6th all-time for most points in a single playoff year. Wayne Gretzky has the record at number 1 with 47 points. So Connor McDavid needs 10 to pass him.
Wow.
I will always put this asterisk on everything, and it's a positive asterisk for McDavid. He now owns the salary cap record.
Yeah.
Yes, very important.
Yeah.
He
look passes Malkin.
There's 2 men above him. Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. That's it.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky has 4 of the first 5 spots.
That's it. Yeah, and even the guys underneath him, it's like guy who played with Gretzky. Like Malkin owned the cap era record at an absurd 14 goals, 22 assists, 36 points in 24 games. McDavid has 38 points in 2 fewer games. It's absurd.
Gretzky's 47 points came in 18 games.
Like, get out of
That's kind of stupid.
He had 2 shorthanded goals out of all that. Look at how many shorthanded goals all those guys had.
Gretzky
had 3 in 1 year.
Yeah. Gretzky killed penalties. How about that?
In 1 playoff year. That's so dumb.
47 points, 18 games. That's an unreal record.
Yeah, like that's the salary cap era record matters. And like, how far down do you have to scroll to find the next guy who played in the cap era?
Kucherov, 1920. He had that unreal season.
And he's 17th.
Yeah, 30.
Well,
okay. He's
4 points behind.
34 points is
yeah.
the thing you want to highlight, right? Because there's a lot of guys tied at 34.
How about Evgeny Kuznetsov? Holy shit.
Yeah, Point had a great year in 1920. McDavid's 21-22, where 16 games, 33 points. Like, and that team lost in the
third round
to the Avalanche.
That's the team that ended the Flames.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
you're
they
right.
lost in 4 games to the Avalanche. They only played 16 games and they had 33 points. Imagine if they went to the finals and had like a long Western Conference
That's a
final.
better year than he's having this year.
Oh my God,
In terms
you're
of
right.
points per game,
Oh
it
my
is.
God, you're right.
Yeah, points per game it is.
And Leon
Leon
that
was
year
right
as
there.
well.
32 and 16. We're watching generational talents.
Yes, this is generational.
It's
Keith Acton said
crazy.
that when we were. I encourage you to go back and watch our live podcast at Boston Pizza last Thursday because Keith Acton had some amazing stories about Gretzky and Lafleur and stuff. But one of the things he said about McDavid was like, listen, this guy wins the cup. If he wins the cup this year, he will be the superstar of superstars because he doesn't have the same supporting cast that all of those other guys had. And I would agree, completely agree. And that's great that Edmonton's depth stepped up, but nobody is comparing any of the other guys except for Leon on this roster to generational talents. Like if you look at Gretzky, Messier, and Coffey from the Oilers runs in the 80s.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Right? Is Matthias Ekholm a Hall of Famer?
No, he's a very good Hall of very good.
Hall of very good. Might be Hall of Famer at the end of it.
Probably not.
Evan
I
Bouchard,
doubt it.
maybe.
Evan Bouchard, lock it, guarantee. Put it like
Yes, he is.
start engraving his plaque right now.
He has such a crush on Evan Bouchard.
He's great,
This-
underrated.
This is people are going to be very upset at this. Bouchard's got a better shot at the Hall than Ekholm.
Yes, because
Yeah.
he's got more time. Yeah,
Yeah, well, he's got more time, and also like, how many Norris votes has Ekholm ever got? Like, has he ever been nominated for the thing?
right.
Has he ever been close to nominated
And
for the thing?
Bouchard's just starting that area of his career where every year we can probably throw him in a Norris conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah,
no one
so-
would look at you sideways for that.
Yeah.
They'd be like, yeah, he's going to put up 80 points as a defenseman. Probably.
Leon Draisaitl, I don't think gets the respect he deserves as a generational talent. Like we're talking about McDavid breaking the assist record this season, right?
Yeah.
Leon Draisaitl owns the record for most assists in a playoff series.
He's Malkin.
Like a single series last year, he broke that record. No, 2 years ago, he broke that record in 22. He owns the record for most assists in a single period in a playoffs. Like no one's ever had 4 assists in a period, and he has that. He did it against Calgary. So we have 2 guys on this team who are generational. Obviously, McDavid is a step ahead, but Draisaitl's right there as a Hall of Famer.
That's the recipe though.
Yeah.
Like Gretzky had Messier.
Matthews, Marner.
Oh fuck. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that. Gretzky, Messier, Lemieux, Yager, and then they, let's throw in Ron Francis, Crosby, Malkin. It's
Kane
usually
Taves.
a package deal.
Kane Taves.
Kane Taves, yeah. If you can you shoehorn the Avalanche in there, and then who would it be? McKinnon, Rantanen.
Mm-hmm.
That's shoehorning a bit.
Yeah.
Because you get McKinnon, who's upper echelon, but I don't know if Rantanen quite matches those other guys that we mentioned.
Right.
Those number 2s.
Landeskog's numbers aren't there for that.
No, they're not there for that. This is a psychotic duo that they have.
Yeah. You can kind of get in there based on like his playoff performance. Kuzi, Ovi.
1 year.
That single
Yeah.
postseason run. No, I'm not talking like over the course of the career, but like that run. Those guys.
1 year, absolutely. Well, now if we're opening the floodgates, all right, Crosby, Kessel.
Yeah, let's not-
No, but like that's how we got to look at these things.
Yes,
because the postseason it happens in a vacuum, right?
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah, yeah.
Who cares what you did in year 5 of your career? If year 10 in your career, you had this unbelievable postseason that you helped your team win a championship too. So I feel like we got to look at those duos like that.
I don't disagree.
One thing to correct with the Penguins, since we're on that, we've been going back and forth with this defenseman thing, and the number 1 defenseman you got to have for the playoffs. Just to clarify, Letang didn't play at all that 17 playoffs.
I feel like you said that.
Yeah, no, you mentioned that he didn't play a little.
Oh,
Like,
he didn't play at all. Not one
wasn't
game.
around. Yeah.
Oh,
Crazy.
Here, can I look into the camera for one other thing? Because I said it on the stream and I got yelled at for saying it again in Cup Check. Darnell Nurse, cousin of Sarah Nurse.
Yes.
Not brother.
By the way,
a lot of people confuse that.
loved
Yeah, my bad.
loved Sarah Nurse just screaming at the boards when he scored. Like that was awesome.
Just a ridiculous family.
Kia is his
Right.
sister.
Ah.
Yeah, Kia Nurse, basketball.
And then who's the guy who used to be quarterback for the Eagles?
Donovan McNabb is their uncle.
That's
I'm pretty
insane.
sure. No, it's not. Is it McNabb? It might be McNabb or
I'm
pretty sure
it's
McNabb.
McNabb.
Yeah. Anyways, there you go.
Yeah.
Just a whole bunch of professional athletes in their family.
Yeah, same.
Hang on.
Same.
Let's find out. Richard was Darnell Nurse's father, Richard, was a receiver with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Kathy played basketball for McMaster. His mother, 23-year-old sister Tamika, Bowling Green in Oregon. Kia, star of and nurses. Yeah, Donna McNabb. There you go. There you go. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
I got it right.
You mumbled through that.
Yeah, I had to. I was trying to get through it quickly before we moved on to something else.
I feel like it's important to get it right.
By the way, I do want to say this. This is a Hockey Night in Canada CBC Sports website that looks just impossibly old now. That's a 2011 article. Steve used to write on that website, and it still exists. It's kind of funny. Weird. I want to say one thing. The goal by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, giving the Oilers essentially the only power play goal in the game, was a big one.
Well, yeah, because it robbed Hyman of history.
Yeah, that's right. That happened. But I thought this was really interesting because Glenn Gulutzin, who we used to give a lot of shit to when he was the Calgary Flames head coach.
Because he sucked.
Yeah, he did suck. He was terrible, throwing his stick into
you.
He threw a stick into
Jose Bautista.
Yeah. Just he was miserable when he was in Calgary. But he goes to Edmonton, and we're all like, oh, how's that going to go? He's been there since 2019. The Oilers were dead last on the power play when he got there. He's worked under 3 coaches, by the way.
How is that even possible?
4, actually. Hitchcock. He was hired under Hitchcock, then Tippett, then Woodcroft, and now Knobloch. He's worked under 4 coaches in those 6 years.
What about McClellan? Was he there on?
I don't think he was there under McClellan. This was the Hitchcock anyway, it doesn't really matter, Steve.
Okay, yeah, fine.
The point is, the power play was dead last when he got there.
Crazy.
They finished the season 9th in his first year. And then his first full season in charge, number 1. And then, so that's 1920, and then number 1 in 2021, and then number 3 in 21-22, and number 1 last season, and number 4 this past regular season. Do you think this guy's good at running a power play?
It just sucks. He's about to get canned.
Why is he about to get canned?
Well, Guy Boucher's available.
Oh, wow.
They're going to get him. They're going to get him. No, it's...
that's pretty cool.
It's something I've tried to put more emphasis on over the last couple of years. Like, head coaches are not necessarily assistant coaches, and assistant coaches are not necessarily head coaches.
And you can make good money as an assistant coach.
Yeah, his tenure as head coach was very mid to bad, and as an assistant coach, look at him go. That's I think a lot of guys.
Yeah, and apparently there's an article on it in The Athletic, but they were talking about the fact that he and the guys that have been there a while, especially guys like Draisaitl and McDavid, have a really good relationship and a good rapport. And it's been a hallmark of the Edmonton Oilers' success, but it's not everything. Again, I ask, gentlemen, how did you beat Bobrovsky that many times? And how do you do it again?
They got in alone a lot, right? Some goalies are good at completely saving the day. Other goalies are good other goalies will give you a shot if you give them a shot, right?
That's Stuart Skinner to me. He had a great game.
He did. He really did. It's not like the Panthers didn't have chances, even when the game started to get away from them.
Crazy glove saves.
Yeah, really. Oh, well, the save he made when it was 2-1.
Yeah.
That's the series. Like, Florida's name might be etched on the cup right now. If that goal goes in, it's tied. You know, the seeds of doubt are sown in Edmonton. Florida's like, holy fuck, boys, here we go.
Yep.
We got a new game. No, I thought he was incredible. I think there was some regression there. Also, the Panthers didn't help him a lick. Like, the Oilers got around him.
I think that's
too much ease.
That's the key right there. A lot of the ease that Bobrovsky's able to play with is because of the great team defense of Florida, and they didn't have it on Saturday night. And I think a lot of that, you let you let Edmonton in close. Bobrovsky lets in a couple weaker ones, and that's the game right there. I feel like if they were on their defensive game that we expect from Florida, that we saw in the first 3 games of the series, Bobrovsky's able to make a couple more of those saves because those shots don't come in from as close and not off the rush, and they're not all in his face like that.
You know what we kind of skipped right over? And so a very pivotal moment in that game is the crazy save Skinner. Crazy save
Jeff Skinner.
Skinner made
Jeff
on,
Skinner.
I think it was
Jeff
Verhaeghe. Adam. I'm going to kick you down the stairs. But Nurse, that knee on Bennett, it's less than 2 minutes into the game. And I said it on the stream. I'm like, I'm sorry, what's the difference between that and what
Luosterainen and
Fogle did to Luosterainen?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
No, it was bad refereeing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it sucks because we've come to expect that in the playoffs we're gonna have terrible refereeing and the calls are gonna make no sense game to game.
No, it's the penalties that are called look dumb. The penalties that aren't called look dumber.
Well, was it on the same play where Sam Bennett's crawling back to the ice to the
You messed him up.
but then he gets up and he starts skating.
Yeah, well,
have you seen the full thing?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so
Is he playing possum?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
He's playing possum a little, and
we already know from earlier this season he's a diver. So we've established that he might be a cup champion at the end of it. But he's a diver.
Listen, it is one game. I'm sure the Oilers wish they could take 4 of those goals and go, can we apply those to the next game?
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, it'd be great.
Or the previous game.
Yeah, or the previous game.
They just start game 5 up 4-0.
But a great win, and then they go back to Florida. So my question to you guys is, it's tomorrow night, this game.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, you'll be doing the stream.
Yep.
Are we thinking we can do this? Can Edmonton get really truly back in this series? Because listen, we've been effusive with our praise, and we should be.
Yes.
But if they only win one game, the way that people look at this is it will be, well, it's not as embarrassing as losing 4-0, but you still kind of got crushed.
You got crushed. I think Florida's like a loss is a loss is a loss. You know, whether it's 3-2 and double OT or this. That flight from Edmonton to Florida is long. They've had this amount of time to be upset about it. But Knobloch was really able to dictate the series in game 4. If I'm not mistaken, every line was changed, or at least all of the top 3. They were able to stretch the ice. They, were really able to. He took advantage of every possible advantage he could. That's not going to be necessarily available to him in game 5. So that was, how there's the game, the whoever game, the Rodriguez game that the Panthers already got. That was the Knobloch game for me, honestly. I thought he did an incredible job and just picked them apart. We need a Maurice game here. And a bounce back from Bob, I think, is the free space. Or, I don't know. What are you playing, Anthony Stoller's game 6-7?
No, you can't.
Well, exactly.
You can't. Jesse, what do you think?
I think Florida's going to get back to their game. I don't even know if it's a bounce back from Bob as more of a bounce back from like team defense, and keeping your head in the game. I think once you go through that moment where it's like, oh, we can clinch the cup, and then you come out and you're flat and Edmonton's just running show because they're the more desperate team. You come back and you're like, okay, erase that from our history. Let's go back to what we know. It's going to be a little easier. We're at home. We've gone through the cup clinching game that we didn't win. Now we can just try again and it'll be fine. And I think they take the one on Tuesday and the season's over.
Too much adrenaline.
Yeah.
Too much adrenaline too early. You're like, holy fuck, we have a chance to win it. You got a power play less than 2 minutes in. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And then you allow a couple and then you're just dead.
I think it goes back to where we started 30 minutes ago, with the stat about the 4 of the last 5 teams with the opportunity to clinch the first time. They didn't do it. And the second time they get it done, and it's that ease of going through it. I feel like that's a lot of the reason Florida's so effective this season is because they were in the Stanley Cup final last season and they lost, and they're like, okay, we have this experience. We went 4 rounds last year. We're back. We're not going to lose this again. And here they are with one more win away.
Is that the Bennett dive?
Yeah, if you want to watch this, I don't know how much we can't really play it, but it's Bennett. He was out forever. He was never going to play hockey again.
He's following my advice.
He's just crawling to the bench. He's going to get there. And he's like, oh, okay, nobody's watching me. The refs made the call. It's tripping. All right, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go. I'm going to skate over the bench. And he skates perfectly fine. He starts speed racing over the bench. And then by the end, he's just standing up straight skating.
You know what's nuts about this is that the refs don't
Good for him.
They don't get upset about that. They got upset about Michael Bunting making them look foolish. They got upset about Nazem Kadri making them look foolish. Bennett does this all the time.
He does do it.
I really respect him. Is it the beard? Like, what is it?
So he's perfectly fine there. And then we go back a couple seconds. Oh, he's dead.
Oh, no!
Oh, God. Oh, wait. A few seconds in the future.
He's fine.
And the refs are like, well, oh, God, now who's going to tell me jokes? Who's going to tell me funny quips? Who am I going to have fun banter with?
I don't get
what. Oh no, my friend is hurt.
I don't get how this guy, like, the refs get mad when you embarrass them. He regularly embarrasses refs. I don't know how he gets away with it.
It's a part of the game.
Kadri didn't. Bunting didn't. I'm a Leaf fan. I'm salty about it. I'll be straight up about my bias here. But Bennett, guys like Bennett and Marchand who do this all the time, totally good.
Man. No hyperbole at all. A referee assaulted Michael Bunting.
Yeah. No,
he pushed him. He said, just get off the ice. And he pushed him.
Did you notice? I think it was Marchand shoved a ref game 5.
Yeah.
Game 5 or 6 against the Leafs. And that dude didn't get a call for the rest of the damn playoffs. They said, take your sign sticks and funny jokes and shove them up your nose there, Brad.
Yeah.
They were not having it. And all that goodwill that he built up from the time he was a rookie in 2011, 2010. No, he threw it out the window.
Because
sorry, it's open season on Brad now.
That's the one where he ran over really quick and he kind of pushed him.
Yeah.
And the ref like looked at him. He gave him a death stare.
Looked at him.
And then
oh, yeah.
They didn't call anything at the moment.
Didn't call anything. It's like an automatic 10-game suspension, I'm pretty sure. But
the refs are like just like a really petty person. They don't say anything, but they're like, I'm going to get you next time and not give you these calls that you should be getting, you know? They're like, their feelings are hurt. It's embarrassing.
I don't know. It's just that clip of it was Bennett actually again, and they love him. You can tell from this clip. The Bennett clip of him cross-checking Lafreniere when the ref is like, you can give him 2, but that's it, or whatever. And then he cross-checks Laff. And whoever it was, I can't remember. It's a tenured ref. That's why we're all doomed. He's just smiling at him. I'm like, oh God, you stink.
Yeah.
You're so bad.
I don't even blame the referees at all for the way they call games. I blame the people above them.
Oh no,
it's clearly their mandate. This is clearly like from Gary to the referees in department who's in charge of like controlling the referees. This is how they want the game called and managed. Yeah. This is how they want the NHL to work. They want the referees doing this kind of stuff where they're just kind of friends and managing the game and everything's even and nothing's called by the rule book. It's called to the situation of the game where we got to make it all fair. And who's your buddy who gets the calls?
Yeah. It is getting to the point though. It's funny though. Like the teams that are best at this rise to the top and then something dangerous happens to one of their guys. And to their credit, they don't complain about it. Because they're like, well, we're going to eventually need that favor.
Yeah,
you know, Bennett's going to do something. Marchie's going to do something. You know, Draisaitl's like, oh, I'm not that type of player. I'm not the instead of saying guys do that to us every night, stuff like that. You got to play the game. They're like the rest of us. They're made of flesh and bone and deeply flawed.
I think Paul Maurice walked back his criticism of the ref after he went viral for the 6 calls thing, you know, and he was like
5-1.
Yeah, the 5-1 thing. Yeah, sorry. And I feel like he was doing more criticizing of the rest last year, and this year he's been a little more tame about it because he knows like he wants them on his side, and calling out the rest publicly isn't a way to get calls.
No, there was a clip recently, so it's funny. I did my little, not defense of Angel Hernandez, but like when he retired, I was like, well, now he's just a private citizen and whatever. He was a bad MLB but he didn't make it about himself. He just made bad calls and whatever. Then I saw this podcast, and when I find it, I'll tweet it out because I don't remember what it was called, but it was a former MLB player. I don't remember who it was. It was a brutal call he got in a game with Angel Hernandez as the ump. And that night, he didn't complain about it. That night, he goes to a bar and he sees Hernandez there with the other umpires. And he buys him a beer. Goes to the bar, sends him a beer. And Angel sort of comes over to him and he goes, that's it? And he goes, yep, enjoy your beer. And he goes, and for the rest of my career, my strike zone was this big. It was the size of an orange.
That's dirty.
I know it's dirty.
That's literally cheating.
No, and
I hate that.
And who's buddy? He won a championship with Milwaukee. He in the NBA. He always tells the best stories. He was an all-star. Oh my God. He was talking about like refs will just they'll make like inappropriate jokes to try to get on your side. He's like, and he was pointing at a girl. He's like, oh man, who's that? You gonna take them out after the game? He's like, fuck you, that's my sister. Like all these guys want to do is be pals with these athletes. You'll have a real difficult time convincing me otherwise.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, there you go.
You're talking about Jeff Teague?
Jeff Teague. Thank you. Yeah, that was.
I know two players that have won in Milwaukee: Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Giannis Antetokounmpo.
You know Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday.
Okay.
Yeah,
Drew
how
Holiday.
dare you.
That's Drew Holiday.
You
Right,
usually know some names.
yeah, you're right.
DJ Augustine.
I can't name anybody else from the 1970s team that
Was Brooke Lopez on the team that won?
Yes.
There you go, Brooke Lopez.
Brooks Lopez. Guys, it's summertime. How are you covering up those eyeballs and looking cool at the same time?
Like this?
No,
With my hands?
you couldn't see the road if you were driving, Steve.
Oh, that's a. Well, then what else can I use?
Well, you need to use your hands for the golf club too, because you're a big avid golfer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't be like this.
When you said summertime, my mind immediately went to DJ Jesse, Jeff, and Will Smith. And
I see.
it's summertime. And
Yeah.
What's hey, say what?
Somebody just cleaned that floor.
So I'm thinking about Will Smith wearing some nice shady rays
That's
while he's
right.
on the set of Bad Boys.
That's right. Not slapping people. But
Slap a pair of Shady Rays on that face.
Yeah, there you go.
and hey, if they take a hit unexpectedly, Shady Rays has got a protection plan. Now, if you want to get, there's hundreds of styles to choose from. 300,000 people have given this product a 5-star rating. Go to shadyrays.com and use the promo code SDP for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Again, it's shadyrays.com/SDP for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. This episode is sponsored in part by BetterHelp. Now, listen.
I'm listening.
Listen.
I'm listening.
If
like
you
a
need
good therapist.
Bingo. If you need someone to do what Jesse's doing right now, which is what, Jesse?
Listening.
Right. Sometimes you just want to talk, and sometimes talking to your family, talking to your friends, there's a limit that you can get to with sharing your problems. After a while, they're like, okay, I can't really take this anymore.
Just start a podcast.
Or
Isn't that the reason most people start a podcast?
that is. I mean, that's why we started one.
Well, what they really need.
They really need is a therapist.
BetterHelp. That's right. And you can get matched in 48 hours or less. It's usually a lot more cost effective than traditional therapy. And here's the great thing. It fits with your schedule. Whenever you want to do it, that's when it's available. So a lot of therapists obviously have their working hours or whatever. You can have BetterHelp anytime you want it. And go to BetterHelp.com/SDP today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/SDP. 10% off your first month. Leafs have moved on from Guy Boucher. Guy Boucher, whose power play was pretty good until it wasn't. And the thing is, the Leafs power play was actually quite good up until about March. And this is something that happens with the Leafs every single year. Man, they got a great power play early. What?
Go ahead, say that again.
And then they don't adjust, and things get bad. And they get cold come April, and then they don't make it to May, which is sad. That makes me sad. What is it?
Wait a tick. Huh.
Wait, what?
Every year? Oh, wait a tick.
They rank 7th in the NHL.
Just a
but
tick of the clock.
They
Just
went
wait
I
a
one
thought it was
for
a Manscaped ad.
But they went
Yeah,
1
wait.
for 22
Wait a-
against Boston in the first round, which you're not going to win.
Wait.
Oh, no.
Wait. Guys, I think I solved a mystery here.
Give it to me.
Manny Malhotra ran the power play,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't great.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, it was worse. Okay. That McFarland guy ran the power play.
Mm-hmm. Carberry ran it too.
Carberry ran it too.
Got himself a head coaching position running that power play.
Carberry ran it too, and the 1 year it didn't evaporate in the playoffs. They won. Funny that. Boucher runs the power play, and it's great in the regular season. And the harder the games get, the harder the goals become to come by. And they go 1 for 21.
What is it?
So I'm sorry. Wait. Just wait a second. The top power play unit for the Leafs has been the exact same for like 6-7 years. Why'd Boucher get fired? What is that the only change? Now it's fixed. Now it's fixed, guys.
Well,
No. It didn't. No, now
I
it's
think it might
fixed.
be the first of many.
No, now it's fixed. Boucher's gone. Woo! Now it's going to be great. What was it ranked in the regular season?
7th.
7th?
Would have been higher had they not got cold in March.
Yeah. Oh, would have been. And you know why it got cold in March For the same reason it gets cold every March, Guy Boucher. Even though he hasn't been here all the previous years where it's happened, it's Guy Boucher.
There should be a deeper
Hey,
dive.
did you hear that clip on Overdrive where they talk about Run It Back? And they talk about a fat fucking extension? I'm going to lose my mind.
Well,
I'm going to lose my mind. It's the personnel. Holy shit. No, it's Guy Boucher.
well, I want
Don't worry about it. It's fixed now.
Got a little story from Chris Johnson here about Guy Boucher. Guy Boucher ran the power play for the Canadian World Junior team the year that Pat Quinn was coach. And Quinn said to Brad Treliving at the time that Boucher was the best power play minded coach he'd ever worked with, which is why the Leafs hired him. And by the way, it did go well. It did go well. Now here's the issue. Steve is referring to the fact that TSN, both on their afternoon and now on their morning shows as of this morning, are talking about, well, Marner prefers, and this is Darren Dreger both times.
And before you get too far from Guy Boucher, just to throw in there, along with the reporting of like the power play didn't work and all that stuff, he wanted the head coaching job. That was also part of his being let go. When Sheldon Keefe was let go, he wanted to be considered for that position, and they ultimately went with Berube, obviously. So there's a little bit of, hey, I don't have the future here because the position was open for me to move up and you didn't give it to me. You know, just like anybody at any regular job.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, hey, I've been at this position and my boss left and I want to be considered for that job and I didn't get it. So there's also that. It's not entirely just the power play. Like,
Agreed.
No. He's probably, he wants a head coaching job eventually.
I agree.
And he doesn't see the avenue in Toronto to get that.
That is the second time the Leafs have passed him over, right? Because
Exactly.
he was the head coach.
Yes.
And then Mike Babcock called Brendan Shanahan literally after Shanahan was at lunch with Boucher and said, "Hey, I forget Buffalo. I'm coming to Toronto." And that's when Shanahan had to call Boucher.
So sometimes you run your time at a company and you know you're not going to move up any further, so you want to move on and start somewhere else.
So Adam, sorry, one more time. Why? What factored into True Living hiring Boucher for the power play?
Pat Quinn said that Guy Boucher was one of the best power play minded coaches he'd ever worked with.
When though? Well, like when did he work with him?
World Juniors. I don't know whenever Pat Quinn was alive.
Oh yeah,
so it's a long time ago.
Found it 2009. Okay. No, not okay. Not good enough.
They
guys.
did okay.
It was a decade and a half ago.
So which is it then? Is it the coach or is it the players? Pick one.
I know. Believe me, I know, Adam.
Which one is it?
I know. No, okay. Here's what I'm doing, Adam.
Oh, I've got you. Give it to
Here's
me.
what I'm doing. I'm not saying, well, no, I am here. Hard line in the sand. It's the personnel. Change the fucking personnel. Change the fucking personnel. Change the fucking personnel. We can't because the personnel has a signed in good faith. You fucking idiot. We called it a year ago. Holy shit. A year ago, we said the no move is going to kick in, you dipshit. And now here we are with our dick in our hand, pissing into the wind. But what I'm doing is poking holes in the logic. Their thinking is fucked. It didn't work out with Boucher, and here's why. Based on their logic, the logic makes no sense. So we're going to hire Boucher. This goes back further in time. We're going to hire Boucher to run the power play because why? The logic's fucked. You're going on a job reference from 14 years ago?
I think
what's the matter with you?
I think you're looking at that point as like the only reason.
Yeah, and I think
it was the only reason. No, I'm kidding.
Look at the other.
I feel like you're missing the whole
Look
point.
at the other teams he coached in there. He had some success.
Yeah.
Like, did he not have success with Lightning? Did he not have success with the Senators?
Well, then it's the personnel. You pick one.
Well, I don't think anybody would.
Right.
But I think you started the segment defending Guy, and I think you're actually right on that.
Yeah, I'm not defending him as much as I'm just making fun of the logic.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to flip positions there for you.
No. And let me tell you, I don't disagree. I completely agree. I just like seeing go off. But it was
the coffee.
You should get to the Marner.
It hit.
Well, I want to.
Hit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
Because I interrupted to go back to Boucher when you were kicking that off.
Right. So this goes back to and just full disclosure, TSN has a radio station. I'm sure you've heard of it.
What?
TSN 1050. Kind of a big deal. So they got an afternoon show, Overdrive. Those guys are great, and they have Darren Dreger come on, just like they have, they used to have Bob McKenzie all the time before he was semi-retired. They got CJ, they got Pierre LeBrun, they got all these great minds that come on these shows and give them great pieces of information. How fantastic. And then, of course, on First Up with Carlo Koliakovo, they had Darren Dreger on again. Now, when last week, this is what was very interesting. Last week, we were driving to, I believe it was Boston Pizza Stouffville for the show. Dreger was on and he's like, well, Marner wants to play out his entire deal here and then maybe sign an extension. And what did Jeff O'Neill say?
No. He goes, no. He pointed out all the correct things to point out. All that bluster at the end of the season from Brad Treliving about change means nothing. It hurts his trustworthiness in the market if he doesn't trade this player. Because you talked about change. Oh, okay, well, we're going to bring back Austin. Well, yeah, obviously. No, I'm not going to blame you for that. Okay, fine. We're going to bring back Willie. Well, no, obviously. No, I don't blame you for that logic. We can't get rid of John. All right, okay, fair enough. This is fine. And so that means you got to trade Mitch. And it's not an acceptable answer to be like, well, yeah, but no, we can't. And it's even less acceptable to be like, we can't trade this player. So let's extend him? Or are you on drugs?
Or let's let him walk to free agency.
Yeah. No, and then...
Because that's exactly... Here's the thing. People think that Mitch's camp actually wants to sign an extension here.
Bullshit. Bullshit. I don't believe it. I don't believe them. They're not trustworthy.
I actually don't believe that either.
They've proven they're full of shit. They're full of shit.
Do not believe it.
Just like when Philip Broberg and that whole trade request thing with the Oilers earlier this season... And then the Oilers are like, what the hell? We've never spoken to them about anything.
Darren Ferris?
That's Darren Ferris. It's Darren Ferris does this. He works the media and he just feeds you whatever you want to hear. He feeds you nonsense.
So this morning, we're guessing that Darren Dreger's source is Darren Ferris, that Darren's worked together.
Well,
this morning, Dreger said, I think Brad Treliving's preference would be to extend Mitch Marner. And that seems like a piece of info fed by an agent for a reporter to get out there. That doesn't sound like...
It's a wild thing to say without follow-up.
Right.
And I like those guys. That's a wild thing to say without follow-up.
It sounds like you're trying to spin the narrative publicly.
Oh, no, they are.
They're very much...
By the way, they did last time, too.
Yeah.
And
this week...
It's really, really important that we understand what happened last time because it was 5 years ago in pre-pandemic.
Yep.
But last time, it was Darren Dreger saying he's going to sign in Columbus for $13 million. It's going to happen. Oh, he's going to sign in Zurich for $1 million. It's going to happen. And the reality of the situation is, from everything that we've pieced together, I think the Leafs want to move on. And I think you guys think that too.
I think he wants to move on. You think he likes it?
I think he does too. And again, it goes back to what I said a week and a half ago. This is all about negotiation position. No, we don't want to. Because if they said yes, we did, well, that gives them less leverage. This is the leverage position. No, we don't want to move. Like, you'll have to convince us.
So when Dreger's on the radio with like a certain amount of clout because he's Darren Dreger and he's a very reputable insider, and he says, I think Brad Treliving's preference is to extend Mitch Marner. You got to question where the logic is behind that, because based on everything, that doesn't seem truthful or make sense for the organization.
It doesn't make sense.
Or for that general manager.
And like Jeff O'Neill correctly pointed out, it does not match what Brad previously said. It does not match what he previously said about change. Unless what Brad was feeding us is entirely bullshit. So, and by change, he means trading Timothy Liljegren.
Carlo then took this clip that's gone viral and retweeted, and he said, this may not be popular, but I'm on the Marner. Will still be a Leaf to start the season train.
Unacceptable.
So I ask, if Marner signed a long-term deal to stay with the Leafs for under $10 million a year, would that change the way most people feel about him right now? And
can I answer that honestly? Yeah, of course it does.
What? What reality
what the
is
fuck?
that?
Hey, he's going to sign. Why stop there? 7, 6.
No, $1 million.
One.
Yeah.
It's $10 million. What could you? Who couldn't live on $1 million a year?
Did you hear that the Leafs are trading Dewar for McDavid?
That's crazy.
It's happening.
I heard that was Brad Treliving's preference.
How would you feel about the team if they traded Dewar for McDavid, Steve?
What are we doing?
Like,
what are we? Oh yeah, if Marner signed for $2 million a year less
would
than
your
he's currently
feelings
making,
change?
Carlo, the fuck? Of course, man.
Carlo should have
Is that on the table?
Carlo should
now
have you
that
on.
should have been part of the hit.
Yeah,
He's willing to take a $2 million a year fucking discount.
By the way,
that was just Carlo's
that's
tweet.
just Carlo. There
that
is
wasn't
absolutely.
any
By the way,
No,
let me say this to the camera.
No, I like it better.
Or not.
No, go ahead.
There's no truth to that.
Yeah, no.
And there's no way it would happen. Mitch is looking for a he's looking for a raise, and he's looking for between 12 and 12 and a half.
How old is Mitch Marner? 26, 27?
Yeah, he should be looking for a raise.
Like, this is the biggest payday of his entire life. The idea that you throw it there, you know, what if Mitch Marner made $5 million for the Leafs? How would you feel about that? Yeah. It would
that'd be
all
cool,
be
man.
awesome, but he's not doing that. He's looking for the biggest payday of his entire life on this earth. And he's going to get it either as an extension and then a trade or whatever it's going to be, or as a free agent next year.
He's going to make it in
what
Vegas.
he's going after.
He's going to make it in Vegas, guys.
Like, don't throw out that nonsense.
Well,
I can't do this again.
Well, you're
do
going to
that. I
have
won't.
to. Get ready. You're going to.
I won't.
No, but you actually have to.
Yeah.
You actually do, though.
I'm gonna sit here and do a show 3 times a week.
I'll
you're
do
not
it.
walking
I'll
off.
do it in protest.
You're not
Okay.
gonna. You're not gonna walk off like you did with Arizona.
Let's do it.
I'll wear my jersey.
This is a shorter story than the Coyote.
Until he's traded, I'll wear my jersey backwards. Like I just it's guys. For the love of okay, fine. Steve, what do you trade Matthews? What's your package?
Okay, no.
Okay, trade Nylander. What's your package?
Hold on.
No, what? Trade Riley. What's your package? Trade Tavares. What's your package? One of them's gonna fucking go. I don't understand what people aren't understanding about this. I don't understand. Like,
I don't understand why you're so worked up about it.
Yeah.
It's clearly, agent. This is why I said what I said a couple shows
no,
ago.
but okay.
This is the agent
one thing.
negotiating through the media, which he does, and he is negotiating from a position of leverage, which he has. Now, we could be upset about the fact that Shanny didn't take advantage of his leverage position by firing Dubas, hanging on
Fire him
Marner.
immediately. There's no justification for bringing him back.
That I get.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that this is positioning through the media.
Yeah.
If I look at my timeline, there are some very intelligent people today going, yeah, I don't think Mitch Marner's going to get traded. Guys, this is a very one-sided source. We have not heard from the Leafs.
This is what's concerning, Adam. It's Ferris is a bullshitting bullshitter. So I'm not concerned over Darren Ferris, the bullshitting bullshitter. I hope he fucking sees this. I'll text it to him myself if I have his number.
You can
Bullshitting bullshitter. But what I am worried about is not the bullshitting bullshitter. It's the smart people online. Leaf fans who allegedly watch all the games or most of them going, it wouldn't be the end of the world. The fuck yes, it would. You want to do this again? You're psychotic. You're a masochist, and I will not be a part of your perversion. I am not going to be part of the Leafs stomping on your balls for your pleasure, you friggin' weirdo. I am not going to be part of that. But, dude,
you're gonna watch every game next year.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, so
Do I look like I'm enjoying it?
Yeah, so you're gonna be a part of it.
Do I look like I'm enjoying it?
Whether you like it or not, you're gonna be a part of it.
Dude, 7 out of 8 playoff series they've blown. You're out of your mind.
You're
out of your mind.
You can't do 82 LFRs like this next year.
You bet your ass.
You can't.
What, first time? You never seen my channel? I'll do this in a one-taker.
That's how I know.
I do this.
That's how I know you're not going to do 82 of these like this next season. Just lying to yourself.
All I need is coffee and source material. And I will fucking do it 82 times.
No.
Sorry, Jesse, you're wrong. I'm not doing this 82 times. I'm doing it 89 like I always do, except for once.
No.
89 is 82 plus 7 for those of you who are confused. God, what are we doing? You can't be serious. Let's just run like the most mid-team money can buy back. What, are you serious?
Well,
you can't be serious.
I think people will look at the regular season, and I get.
And I think those people are fucked. They'll look at the regular season. Oh, well, then, you know what? They'll finish 3rd in the fucking division again. Face one of the monsters in the Atlantic. get their bottoms soundly patted. They'll give us hope. They'll choke in game 7 like they always do. And then we'll sit here and go, I don't know, but could they do it again?
So
what about next time?
So what I was thinking is, the thing that has the dissonance for me as a Leaf fan has not been Mitch Marner as much as it's been Timothy Liljegren.
What did you just say to me?
Well, I'll say this. So what I'm talking about here is Leaf fans and attachment to players. I can understand why people are like, listen, how do you trade Mitch Marner and get better? I don't even think that they get better instantly without him. I think that they get better over the course of a couple years, spending that money differently, changing up the pieces, doing what they need to. That's what I think. And people don't have the patience or the stomach for that. They don't want to hear that. What do you mean we're not going to trade Mitch Marner and get instantly better? I don't think that you will. I think that you'll get better in certain areas, but you will take away from your offense. The thing that gets me is the Timothy Liljegren is a good defenseman take. This guy,
there's too much of that out there.
There's so much of the Leafs. Yeah. First off, this guy has been scratched in every single playoffs since he started here. And people are like, oh man, he's going to blossom into this thing. He hasn't even played 200 games yet. I'm like, man, if I'm wrong about this, I'll admit it, but I don't see it. I don't see the size. I don't see the mentality. I don't see a nasty streak. I don't even see playmaking skills that are that much better than anybody else. Has Timothy Liljegren ever wowed you enough to grab a top 4 position from Simon Benoit?
If he's willing to come back as what he is,
which is a bottom pairing defenseman.
Yep, I'll take him.
That's fine.
You ain't getting a raise. You ain't getting a bigger role either. Earn it. And there were times last
there will
year
be people who
where
tell
he
you,
put together 2-3 weeks and you're like, by gum, he's earned it, before immediately turning back into a pumpkin.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, well, I guess he's lost his job to, let me see, Connor Timmins for the next week, or like Benoit, or friggin' EK. Like, it is such a disappointment. He's still getting healthy sometimes.
This is where,
you know what I mean?
This is where it's frustrating for me, because I look at a guy like that and I go, when I watch other teams, I see a guy who could not fit in on those teams.
Oh, no.
Could not fit in on those teams.
The playoffs
they're a real
agony.
Because you look at that and you go, there's no way that he would start for these teams.
No.
I mean, maybe on Edmonton. They have some wonky players on defense, but my thinking in all of this is I look at a team like Dallas, or I look at a team like Florida, or look at a team like New York. And there's a lot of people throwing a lot of stats around there about that guy, and I don't think he's that guy. And then, okay, so he's a 5 or 6 player on your defensive core. Is that bad? Yeah, because what does he do?
Well,
what does he do? And it goes back into the Mitch Marner thing, is that we watch our own players so much that we think, in absence of them, there could be nobody else who could do a better job at either a lower price in Mitch Marner's case, or maybe potentially a higher price in Liljegren's case, but maybe they might actually bring something to the table. Like Brady Shea might get $7.5 million this year. If the Leafs signed him to that,
wow,
he would instantly be the best defenseman on their team. My issue with the Leafs power play for years has been Morgan Rielly. No threat from the point.
Yeah.
You can't tip any pucks in if your defensemen don't shoot. John Tavares is really good at collecting rebounds, tipping things in. What do they do?
Adam, can I show you the problem with Brady Shea?
Please.
Shoots left. This is the thing, and I'll bring it back to Marner too. Here's the only scenario I'll accept him.
I just want people to be open to new ideas here, because this one's not working.
Here's the only scenario I'll accept Marner being a Leaf next year. Plays D. Plays D. He'd be the best right-handed defenseman.
Somebody was asking in Jonas's
generation
mailbag about moving him to center, and I was like, "Are you guys kidding? You got to be kidding!"
It's listen, developing Marner at center, or developing Nylander at center. That would have been a clever thing to do.
Babs wouldn't do it.
Didn't do it.
They don't throw Nylander into that. They tried that 400 million times, including preseason last year.
The time to do it, Jesse, was 2017.
Yeah, and then they kept half trying it for the last 7 years. Yeah. Let's move on from that idea.
Enough.
I think I'm getting a little bit annoyed here of and I get it too, because you watch these players every day. You do form attachments by watching them and whatever. And the reality is, The Leafs are an okay team. They're a playoff team every year. They're fine.
They're fine.
And they're a one and done team. So now that you know that, you realize that something has to change. Well, don't change that guy. I see people like, if they lose Nick Robertson, I'm just gonna. It's like, guys, Nick Robertson?
I know.
I'm sure you'll be fine. Oh, but they can't lose. Who's the guy playing in BC? Who lived at Tavares' house for a minute.
Playing in BC?
He's playing in BC in the minor
Canucks?
system. No, WHL. He's a prospect for them.
Fraser
Minton.
Oh, yeah.
People are like, oh my God, if they lose Fraser Minton in a trade. Dude, Fraser Minton tops out
I don't know.
as a third line center.
Okay, somebody clip that. Save it for 10 years from now.
Save it for 10 years. Throw it back to your face.
when he wins the Conn Smythe for like the Flyers.
Yeah,
or something
I can't
like
wait.
That.
My point is,
My point definitely. You know what? You're right.
The Leafs
You're
are
right.
guilty of falling in love with the same team that does nothing for them.
Yeah,
They are.
Well, and it's a team that made the playoffs and they were one and done. Like
I just don't care.
No one in
They're one and
Washington is like, you know what? We can't lose a single piece off this Capitals team. We're damaged. We're broken, and we think about hockey wrong. We think about this team wrong.
In between their cups, the Penguins completely remade that roster, except for like 3 guys.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And I'm also hearing. I read it. This bothered me. I was reading in the Athletic mailbag that Jonas and another writer put together, and somebody was like, "Hey, Morgan Riley's overpaid," and Jonas is like, "Well, maybe a touch." I'm like, "He's overpaid now? That means that he was way overpaid." And I like Morgan Riley, but there's a lot of limitations to this player. And if you're going to have those limitations, you got to have other players who can play with him to help with that. It can't just be Boucher and Morgan. It's got to we got to have a shot from the point.
Yeah.
We got to have another puck moving defenseman who can actually throw the body. Like, we're talking about a right shot defenseman who can shoot hard so they can tip some pucks in so they have other options.
My problem with overly criticizing Riley, like, listen, there's a lot of times where he's not good enough. The core outside of him is abysmal.
It's terrible. Yeah.
It's absolutely
So I'm not
abysmal.
criticizing him so much as I'm criticizing the fact that they have never been like, and I put a lot of this on Dubas. They've never said, you know what? Morgan is good, but he's limited in this position and he's limited in this. Let's find somebody to complement.
Who was the best right-handed defender? Who's been the best right-handed defender the Leafs have had since Matthews and Marner made their NHL
Luke
debut?
Schenn.
Who's in the conversation?
Luke Schenn.
I'm going to name all the right-handers. Luke Schenn, Ilya Lyubushkin, Connor Timmins,
Cody Ceci.
Timothy Liljegren, Cody Ceci, Tyson Barrie,
Ron Hainsey.
Nope.
Even though he was left shot.
He was the left shot.
But they put him on the right side.
Right-handed, damn it. Right-handed.
Was Sandin lefty?
Sandin was a lefty.
Yeah, not much.
Marshall Rafai. I would put that up there. You can keep Marner as long as you promise to get right-handed people who play hockey well.
You forgot about Zaitsev.
Oh, for fuck's sake! You see, they played Marincin on the right, and he's a lefty. Like, good lord!
I think
get a right-handed defenseman.
I think your whole point was just like, don't be tied down to the players here.
Yeah,
there's a lot of changes to be made.
Don't fall in love with your guys when your guys are not getting results.
What are you tied down to these guys for? Fuck.
You know what I really respect when you watch the Michael Jordan documentary, as biased in Michael's favor as it is that general manager who everybody hates, even though the team's winning championships, he's always still like, how do we get better? And he's ice cold when it comes to those players. And Vegas, we criticize them. I criticize them hugely for the way they treated guys. But then I look at it and I go, well, look at what they've done. Look at the results. Look what they've been able to do. Well, do you think it was easy for Bill Zito to trade Mackenzie Weegar and Jonathan Huberdeau after that season?
Well, and people don't see how cold they are until I want people to reflect on your reaction to what Vegas did to Fleury and several other players and how your opinion of their treatment changed when they won.
Oh, I think it went away. Those conversations just stopped.
You could still, I thought it was dicketry. I thought it was extremely dickish. They won.
Hey, why don't we do the press conference?
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
This question from Will, I think, is very funny because considering we put out a clip about this and everything. Will says, is Adam ready to apologize to Bobrovsky for jinxing his Game 4 performance by claiming that Bob is far and beyond the favorite to win the Conn Smythe?
Well, he's not now. Thanks, Bob.
Oh, that'd be
piece of crap. Barkov's like easily, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, Barkov put the first goal into the net.
Yeah, he got another one.
Yeah, that was Barkov's
So now
fault
he's
that
up to
Janmark
8.
scored. So maybe Barkov needs to take a seat.
Whoa.
Get out
All
of the
right.
way for Matthew Tkachuk.
What of the other? That's not even the next one up.
I know. I'm just...
It's like Forsling? It's probably Forsling at number 3.
If Forsling ever won, I'd be like, you all are hipsters and go to jail. Like, you can't go to, go to jail. Go to jail. Like, if you won't give it to Phil Kessel, who really was the MVP, really, truly was. You won't give it to Phil, but you're going to give it to Gus Forsling.
Let me look if Gus Forsling is from Sweden, specifically Stockholm, because I think it'd be very funny for one Oilers reporter.
Why?
That's
Stop it.
That's all I'm saying.
Stop it.
Oh, he's from Linköping.
Am I willing to... Listen, if I have to apologize for Bobrovsky's performance, then I get to take credit for all of his good ones, too.
No, you didn't call that before.
No, I get to take credit for it. No, if I'm responsible for his performances, I'm responsible for all of them.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I'm not a little pregnant on his performances.
Whoa.
I'm all the way pregnant or I'm not. Okay?
Apologize.
That's all I'm saying. I will not apologize unless you are giving me credit for his almost Hall of Fame.
In a follow-up, Mr. Wright on Twitter had a comment.
I like
to
that name.
Your Bobrovsky jinxing, which applies here as well. Have you ever considered, Adam, that the fact that every time you pick the Leafs to win the cup in your bracket, they've lost? Maybe you should have the Bruins winning so the Leafs have a legit shot next year.
Maybe the Leafs could do themselves a favor and make the right changes and get a legit shot themselves or get a clue. I don't know. Again, why is it me? How could it possibly be me?
Because
Guy in room.
Once again.
Guy in room yelling in mic.
Once again, the Toronto media makes it more difficult on the Leafs.
That must be so hard. I can't imagine.
Crap.
I don't know if this one should be saved for VIP on Wednesday or if you want to talk about it a little bit. But Rory McElroy on Sunday, this question was from @NL66 _ the end. It says, Rory, that's my only question.
Jesse?
If you don't know what this question is referring to, is referring to Rory McElroy, who on Sunday had a 2-shot lead at the U.S. Open on hole number 16, and along the way, or at hole 15, and then along the way to the end, he missed 2 putts within 4 feet.
And he'd been, what, 367 for 367 or something?
465 for 465 within
Wow.
4 feet.
Oh, my God.
It's one of the biggest choke jobs we've seen in a long time, because if he just simply goes out there, plays even par, he wins the tournament.
So it wasn't that he missed 1
For
the first time in over 400. He missed 2.
2 of them.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I was invested in is him going and flying out of the parking lot after.
That leads into his exit from the tournament. So he has to go sign his scorecard, obviously, in the back room, and there's cameras in there, and he looks absolutely devastated. And from the signing of the scorecard and finishing out his tournament, he sprints off to his car, gets in it, and drives away. And within, I don't know, 10 minutes of finishing his round, he's away and he's driving home. And they even tracked his plane. So they know his private plane was up in the air by the time Bryson DeChambeau, who won the tourney, was still doing media and still there. Rory was up in the air going back to Florida. So So thoughts from you guys on the obligation from athletes from a crushing defeat to speak to the media, because I think that's the biggest Twitter narrative that came out of it. It's like, how dare you, Rory, not speak to the media, own it like a man, all this nonsense. Well, you might not think it's nonsense. You might think there's legit.
I don't think it's nonsense. I don't think it's nonsense.
How do you feel about athletes kind of skirting the media when they leave?
I generally don't mind it as much.
Marner and Riley didn't come out after Game 6.
There it is.
Or Game 7.
It didn't take very long.
Marner and Riley didn't come after Game 7. How do you feel about it?
Well, okay. As a fan, it's chicken shit. As someone covering the game, I'm looking for a story. What was the story of the game? And are there any what's the word? Ancillary parts?
Ancillary.
Accelerate.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like me trying to pronounce things.
Yeah. And still,
Or me trying to pronounce a name.
So are there any distillery parts to the game? And like, to me, that's part of it. Like, what is Rory going to give you that's juicier than him literally doing a burnout in the parking lot and being up in the air while the winner who won because you choked is still doing media? Like,
and hold on.
That's the story.
Hold on. Let's just be honest about this too. It's Live Golf versus PGA, and Live won.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's that undertone as well.
Live won.
Rory's been the biggest proponent of that's not real golf. I hate that tour over there.
And they're also going to be bad when they go over there, and they all did it for the money. And here's Bryson DeChambeau coming in and going, actually, no. And he didn't. Rory, here's the thing about Rory is I've always really liked him. I thought just seems like a genuine stand-up guy. But when all those guys went over, he made himself the poster boy for the PGA and put himself in the firing line. And the PGA let him do it. And then what did they do? They announced afterwards, well, we're merging with Lyft.
Without, like, he didn't know.
He didn't know.
Blindsided.
So this guy has been screwed by the people who are anti-Rory because he put himself in the fiery line. And then he was screwed by the PGA. And he's probably like, I feel really bad for him in this instance, but he should absolutely be talking.
He should.
And if you're gonna be the leader, they defer to him. The PGA goes to him. All right, we need you to get the golfers on board because we're trying to do X or we're trying to do Y. Okay, fine. He was one of the guys that when PGA decided, oh, we should get competitive now because Liv might actually challenge us here, we'll have to show up at the same tournaments together, which was a huge problem, by the way. You buy a ticket to these tournaments and none of these guys would show up. Rory was the guy they went to. So, okay, if you're the guy that they went to, if you're the leader, if you keep putting and I know that the Open isn't a PGA event, it's an Open, you got to be the guy all the time.
Right, but
you can't just be when it suits.
Since like the corporation that he was defending kind of fucked him with the Liv merger, he's been trying to like not necessarily walk that back, but remove himself from that. I'm gonna be the guy to speak up all the time now.
Yeah,
like, that narrative's changed in the last
and I respect that. I feel bad for him. I really do. But he should be talking.
Yeah,
he should be talking. Listen,
point blank,
listen. When bad shit happens, unfortunately in sports, it doesn't happen like in a corporate setting. Right? If a company does a bad thing, they might get hauled in front of some sort of government committee over Zoom.
But
or
that's at like the top 0.021%. You know,
but this is professional sports, and professionally, that's part of the gig. You got to talk, and it is. To be honest, if he just come out and been like, "Yeah, I goofed, it was bad," and congrats to Bryson, it's a non-story. But the fact that he peeled out of there and his plane was in the air in 10 minutes. It makes it look worse.
Where was that cop who arrested the other guy to jump on the hood? He said, "Hey, that's erratic driving. I gotta wreck my $80 pants."
The cop who
Scotty Scheffler, like Mr. Jesus himself. Like, are you kidding?
Yeah. It was
everyone get down.
The Full Swing, Netflix's golf show. The camera's following him to a car, so they're gonna have that. That better be. I want to see that, like episode 2 or something like that.
That police department is just gonna be embarrassed.
No, I'm talking about the
Rory
McElroy burnout.
Oh,
you see the Full Swing cameras following him to his car after the loss. So they got that footage at least, which will be fun.
That would be a lot of hours to film shows like that.
Oh yeah.
But man,
for those like you film the whole weekend, every moment, every second for that 10-second run to the car. Yeah. You know, that's the whole reason you film every second of your Netflix. And
the drama.
They got something great with that footage. And I can't wait till like 8 months from now when it actually releases.
8 months. They got to put the teaser out. But like I think it reflects poorly on him, but the story is not lesser than because he didn't speak. You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't take away from it.
The
choke job is the choke job.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It would have been great if he had some Mr. Rogers inspirational quote about it, and I'll get him next time. He was not in a we'll get him next time mindset at the time. He was red hot pissed, and maybe he did the responsible thing.
Maybe.
By leaving.
Regular Joes who will never play professional sports at that high of a level, do we underrate how difficult it is to talk about a moment like that with the media?
Sure.
Of course.
Sure we do.
Of course.
Should we be giving these athletes more leeway?
No.
Wow. So
no.
Here, I'll give you an example. I'll give you I'll give you a couple examples.
I should have saved this for Wednesday. We could do half an hour on those, but we got to end soon.
Do you want to?
Yeah. We'll do that.
There's the tea.
How about we answer that question on Wednesday's VIP? We'll start with that, and we'll get into it.
And I will talk about experiences from my illustrious
I love
career.
I just love
don't give
this.
your opinion.
I just love this.
Yeah, no. We got
I know
some
what the
ammo.
comments are already going to say. And I love this. I just love this stuff. People are like, you're happy to go to bat for these guys until they're on your team and you're booing them out of the freaking building.
We have an interview
Stop
to get to.
Guys,
all right, fine. Let's get to the interview.
Here, before we get to the interview,
Okay.
we're missing the most important part. Bryson, from Saudi Steve to you, congratulations.
All right, let's bring on Ronnie and Anthony from Peaches Sports Bar. All right, we're excited to welcome on the owners of Peaches Sports Bar here in Toronto, Ronnie Say and Anthony Fischel. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you
So
so much
excited.
for having us. We're really stoked to be here.
Now,
stoked.
you might be, if you've never been to Peaches, you might have seen them on TikTok because there was a clip that I remember going viral with the PWHL right at the beginning of the season. Can we talk about that just quickly to start off? Because for people that don't know, Peaches is sort of a inclusive space, but it is also a sports bar. And it started, Ronnie, because you couldn't find that.
Yeah.
You were looking for that.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. We feel incredibly lucky that sort of happened for us because we always, from the beginning of when we opened the bar, we wanted that to be the goal is to play women's sports, to focus on women's sports, and to also create a safe space. And it was something that I'd always kind of looked for in terms of my guest experience when it goes to like the idea of like going out and like watching sports. You don't see a lot of representation in that space. And yeah, we were just like super, super excited that there was somebody that was able to sort of facilitate a little bit of exposure for us. It's really
well,
cool.
and it was people just getting rowdy at a PWHL game, which is awesome. And
Absolutely.
I mean, that's kind of the vibe you want as a bar getting out there, right?
Yeah. 100%.
So when you look at the pictures, when you go to the bar, it's a very vintage baseball sort of feel. You guys have those old pennies up, and so tell us about the building. Tell us about the idea, the whole way it all started.
Well, basically, I actually used to work in the building. I was a manager for the previous iteration of what it was. And when Anthony called me to basically say, hey, let's make this happen. Let's do this. Let's do the sports bar thing that we had been talking about for a long time.
A very long time.
And it was the first space that we thought of that made the most amount of sense.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The space, the area, I don't know, everything just stars aligned, and it's where we wanted to go, and we just were fortunate enough to be able to make it happen.
Yeah, because of my connection with the previous owners, and it was just kind of on the cusp of the pandemic, like just after it kind of had happened, and what they were doing, I knew was something that was kind of a solution for the pandemic, which was like a takeout pizza joint, and then they turned it into a live music venue, which didn't last for very long, unfortunately. But because of my partnership and friendship with the previous owners, we contacted them directly, and they were excited to have us.
That's
It's
cool.
Really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, and now we partnered with the previous owner initially, and we've since bought them out, and it's just the two of us.
50-50.
Damn, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I've never owned or ran a bar, but I like them. Like for sports and the like. What's been your favorite sports moment in Peaches so far?
There's been a couple. Obviously, I hate to bring it up, Steve. When the Leafs won, we all acted like we won the cup.
Yeah,
and
they did for a shining moment.
It was a shining moment. Shirts were off. People were very excited.
There were.
Yeah, people were. It was crazy. Also, PWHL, that second game, the first away game, and then the rest of the season. I really want to say like the entire PWHL season, especially the away games, have been gangbusters, and it's been crazy at the bar.
Absolutely. And I think really one of the thing that I've taken away the most about this is just the sort of the excitement in witnessing the way that people are like so supportive of female sports. And I think it's kind of a little bit of a spectrum and a blanket statement to say, but it's just truly seeing the way that people are excited and accepting and the fandom. It's not just women, it's not just queer people, it's men, it's cis straight people as well. Like we feel extremely excited to have just sort of witnessed this arc and how quickly it's happened. I think that has been like the biggest highlight for me, for sure.
I know that you guys can't let them into the bar, but the amount of children at PWHL games I find was the most shocking thing to me, because you go to a Leafs game and like to bring your kid there, you don't want to spend $200 on a ticket for your 8-year-old, you know? So you'd rather bring them to like a Marlies game or something else. And with the PWHL and their ticket prices and everything and just the atmosphere there, it's really geared to the next generation of hockey fans. And I feel like just building that community around the kids and just having a great atmosphere, they've nailed it for the PWHL Toronto.
It is one of like the most exciting things when you're witnessing it, is that there is this incredibly young fandom that is what I would consider to be a little bit of a anomaly. Mm-hmm. I have not seen this kind of excitement. And as a female who played sports, experienced sports, loved witnessing all of that, going to games, but it was never something that I thought that I was going to be able to accomplish as a career. It was never something that I felt as though was like a goal that could be achieved. And now I really, truly do feel that these young girls, these young kids, the excitement that is really, really, truly building is because it's an option now.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could add, it's also like, if you're like a little boy and you're watching the Leafs and you're like, hey, I want to be a Leaf. I want to be a hockey player when I grow up. Being like a little girl going to games, you know, you had the Olympics or like the World Hockey Championships. But now with the PWHL, it gives little girls like, you know, something to dream, something to hope for. And playing the PWHL, you know, could be a huge dream, a huge win for a lot of these kids.
Yeah. I'm a believer, and if you see it, you can believe it, and then you can do it, you know? Yeah. So just having that for little girls and witnessing, hey, there's a professional league, and the Sarah Nurse is playing in it, and I could be that one day. Like, that means a whole bunch. And with the bar specifically, we have a segment on our show called Fat Guy Corner. We've done it a few times. We just talk about, like, the awesome things we ate that week, you know? And we were talking before this about your menu. And what I haven't tried it yet, but Maddie swears by it. Our producer, Maddie, your hot dog. Yeah. Maddie, if you want to bring it up on the screen, you said the bun is made in-house. Yeah. Can you just talk about your hot dog a little?
So we work with a company called Woof Dog. They provide us our all beef hot dogs, and we make the buns in-house. On a very fresh and very regular basis. I always kind of, when people are asking about them, I always kind of try to describe them as like they're almost like kind of a lobster bun vibe, like buttery and like really they throw it on the plancha, they get it all toasted.
Steve's trying to eat it for anybody listening. He's trying to eat the picture.
They're so good, and we do a monthly dog where we change it up every single month. And then we have.
Are you gonna do one for the Jays this year? Disappointing dog, or is it like a really underwhelming hot dog?
Just a bun and a
Wonder Bread. Hey,
it's boiled. It's a boiled dog.
Oh
the cheese on it looks incredible. The way it's melted on there.
That's homemade queso. Literally everything there.
Wow.
Homemade. Homemade chili. That's the chili dog. So literally all of our sauces, everything's made in house.
Yeah.
This is very important. Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final is tomorrow, but more importantly, it's wing night.
Yes, it is.
I learned recently.
Yes.
Top 3 favorite wings in Peaches.
Lemon pepper.
Lemon pepper.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Mustard barbecue.
The mustard barbecue is the sleeper.
It's the sleeper.
It's
I'd try that. Yeah.
Wow.
And, Buffalo.
You gotta
Buffalo.
go.
Buffalo is the best.
You know?
It is the best wing out there. I want to point out something else too. This might not be for everybody.
Okay.
But I love a pickled egg. and they have pickled deviled eggs.
That's so Adam. That's so Adam.
Muck that.
Oh my god! And it says, and you can add an extra egg too. There's 3 of them, but you can add a 4th, and I would for sure add the 4th. That's all I need.
They're probably one of the best things on the menu.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a good little bite too. But like, God damn, the way in which I would never eat 6 eggs on a normal day.
No,
but like,
Yeah.
oh
like,
God,
you know?
the way I wish I could do that with those. They're so
Steve's like, you mean that's not your regular
Abnormal and unusual.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Fat Guy Corner from Peaches for sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Oh my God, and we would love that.
We gotta film a
anytime.
segment.
Peaches Sports Bar. It's at 1554 Queen Street West in Toronto. Inclusive space. Awesome owners, as you can see right here. Guys, congratulations on the success of your bar, because it, under any circumstance, is not easy to create a bar and actually make it beyond the first 6 months. And you guys have done it in the, after the pandemic, which has been doubly hard on bars. So congratulations to you.
Yeah.
Thank
And we're
you.
really happy to have you, and thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. Yeah, we really feel excited, and and thank you so much for your support.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.